Hi, today I am going to show you how to set up irrigation system, especially for those who have container garden. I have more than 300 containers in my garden and I find it very difficult and time consuming to hand water them with my sprays. So I was looking for all the videos and I found mostly those videos are helpful for the garden beds but not much about containers. So I had to research a bit more and have to develop my own system of deep irrigation for my containers, and I'm very pleased to say that it is working really well for me and saving me hours of watering. I took some help from some of the online videos, those are available. I want to specially thanks to Christy Cooper, Gardening with Michael, Pope and Bunnings for having the videos to guide me through this process. So, and for your help, I would like to show you step by step how I did this one. I have a very complex garden system which is made of as I said, more than 300 pots and also few garden beds. And my garden is not straightforward, it has multiple angles, corners, so I had to find a way to negotiate how to do that. So I have put my videos in different parts. If you would like to skip to the needed one, you can do so, but I have added some helpful tips, so I recommend to watch it full. So first thing first, this is the list of materials that you would need, and I'm gonna show you this in details so you don't have to remember, and few things might have missed in this list you will see in the following sections. So first thing you would need is your tap. I have two backyard taps and one front yard tap. I have attached a two-way tap adapter or two-way tap for each of my taps because I wanted to use one for irrigation and another for like hand spray or for my personal use. You can skip that one, but I would recommend you to do this one because it helps. And there are two brands available, one is Pope and another is Holman. I found the Pope brand has better review. This is the example of the Holman. Now you might need some plumber's tape or thread seal tape because you don't want the water leakage. I'm gonna go through some of the materials very quickly. The length of the pipes you will need according to the size of your garden. So I'll go through of these materials in details. I found there are different brands available, K-Rain and Toro. These two brands are a bit less pricey compared to Pope and Holman. Quality wise, I haven't noticed any difference yet, so it's up to you. And also they come in quantities, like you can buy it individually or more quantity, like some of them come in a packet of 5 or 10. Definitely those are a bit cheaper compared to buying them individually, but first time I would recommend you to buy individually to set up to see how whether it works or not. Now I would like to show you in details of what we have here. First thing is you need poly pipe. These are the black 19mm poly pipes. They come in different length. You have to buy according to your need. So this is the main watering channel that will run throughout the garden. Then the second thing is you need the drip line. So these are the drip easy tube. They have hole every 30 centimeters and they can put water up to 2 liters per hour. The third thing you would be needing these 4mm polypipe tubes. These are used to add tricklers, sprayers and additional drippers into your garden bed or pots. Now the next thing is ratchet clamps. You will be needing a lot of these, so you might need to buy the packets of 10 or 25. So you will be needing two size 19mm and 30mm ratchet clamps. Now then the next one I have shown is the 19mm fittings. So this is a elbow fittings or L fittings, whatever you call. This is a T fittings for 19 millimeter or T connector. I have few straight connector too. You might not need the straight connector a lot, but sometimes when you want to join or there is a kink in the pipe, you might need to use that. And then the last thing, you would be needing some end plug. End plug is basically to close the end of your pipes. Okay, now the same things you will be needing in 13 millimeter sizes as well. So I have used up almost all of my 13 millimeter supplies, so I have only few to show. So this is the example of 13 millimeter ratchet clamps, and then I have what is that? Okay, so 13 millimeter straight joiner, and I don't have any T's or elbow connector in 13 millimeter, but you will definitely need a lot of those. Now this is the end plug as well for 13 millimeter. And another thing that you might need is the connectors, especially when you want to join the 19 millimeter to 13 millimeter. You will be needing a T-piece. So this is an example of 19 into 13 connector. So what it means basically, when you try to add a 13 millimeter drip tube with the 19 millimeter poly pipe, you have to join them with one of these T connector. So I am showing you side by side. One is 19 into 19, that means all the three limbs are 19 millimeter, and the one on the right is 19 into 13. What it means, it has two limbs, 19 millimeter, one 13 millimeter. Now again, coming to this 4 millimeter tube, and I have these barbed joiners. These are 4 millimeter barbed joiners. Why you need this? You need this to connect with the 4 millimeter tube. I have shown that on the side. So this is an optional thing. The ones I have bought, for example, the trickler with a stake or a sprayer with a stake, they come with this, so you might not need to buy them separately. So I'm just showing you one example of this. So this is the adjustable sprayer, okay, or dripper in a stake. This one you can see on the side, there is a barb joiner attached with it. So all you need basically just to twist that end or cut that end and add into your 4 millimeter tube. So this is a sprayer, a spray piece jet. They come in 360 degree, 180 degree, even 90 degree. So this is basically indicates how much area it covers. Now this you will need these ones. This is a hole puncher. So this one Holman, this one is of better quality than the other one. The other one is basically the hole punch, and it also comes some end plug. So by mistake, if you make any mistake by making a hole, you can close that hole with these buttons. Now I'm gonna show you a little bit in details. This is an adjustable dripper 3cc spray. I personally didn't like that one because it's a kind of dripper, but if you it drips the water slowly, but if you need that one, you can use that. I like this one better, like 360 degree trickler, because it puts the water in a fan shaped manner. I will show you in later on what I mean. So you have to pay attention when you buy things, because sometimes I found that Bunnings keep wrong thing in wrong place. So you might buy a thing and then find out that it is not the one that you need. This is an example of the single piece jet. I will show you how they work later on. Now some additional things that you will be needing is a flux with hot water, I mean boiling water. You will be needing some secateurs and scissors to cut the pipes. You will be needing a plier, and these hooks or cattle panel hooks, they come in a they come in a packet of 10. You will be needing to fix the drip lines. Now I'll show you the basic how I add the how to join the pipes. Okay, so you have to first take a glass of or mug of boiling water, and then you have to put the pipe into that hot water, and then you just have to squeeze that, maybe use a twisting manner to put the pipe all the way to the end. You see, I put the ratchet clamp before. You can do it later too, but I found it putting the ratchet clamp before you join makes things much easier. Now you have to press the, once it's in the end, you have to press the ratchet clamps very tightly, and but that's not tight enough, so you need to use a plier to put extra pressure on the ends or shoulders of the ratchet clamp so that they are very tight. If they are not tight, you will have water leakage. Okay, so make sure you put enough you put enough pressure to tighten them so that they don't move. Okay, this is the base what you need to do. Now I will show you how to connect the 4mm tubes with these sticklers. So basically, as I said, you have to twist the end of the barbed joiners and you can separate these. This is the barbed connector. Now in the same way, you put the 4mm tube into the boiling hot water for maybe 15 to 30 seconds. This will help them to expand and work easily, otherwise you will not be able to put them together. Now you have to basically insert that. I recommend wearing gloves for this one because you might hurt your fingers and might end up with blisters. And I tell you, this is not an easy step. It takes a lot of pressure to add them together. So this is one end. I fix the one end. Now the other end I'm doing in the same way. I'm gonna put that in the hot water, and then I will basically squeeze the barbed 4mm joiner into this. Again, just reminding you, this is a very tough stage. You might feel frustrated with this one, and you must make sure you wear the gloves. And once this is in, now I'm going to show you how to make the hole and attach this one. This is the 19mm poly pipe, and with the hole punch I'm just going to make a hole into this. Again, use a bit of twisting manner to punch the hole. Okay, so I made the hole there, and now what I'm gonna do is basically put that thing, the other end, inside, and this makes a very good seal. Okay, you don't have to worry about any water leakage. It doesn't leak at all. So as long as it's done right, it is done. Now the other end, I basically put it in any side of my garden bed like this. Okay, you just stake it there. That's it. Now coming to the water system again, into the tap again. So basically you have to have a bit of tap adapter. I found this step is a bit frustrating because not all tap adapter matches. So you might need to take help from the Bunnings employees to find the right adapter. Now in the same manner, I'm attaching the 19mm poly pipes with the tap using a connector. After adding the 19mm poly pipe, you can see a big black thing there that is called filter, and it is an optional thing. It basically filters out any big particles so that the drip system doesn't get blocked. And I did that because I thought I would protect the drip line from blocking. If you want, you can skip that part. So I cut a small piece of 19mm poly pipe and then added on top of the filter, and then this is the filter, inline barbed filter. I added in the same manner, and after that I had to join the 19mm poly pipe with a T connector and made a parallel line of that one so that I can run the drip system on the side. Now I had some 13 millimeter poly pipes, which I didn't show you, but because I had that, I used that to connect my 13 millimeter poly pipes with this 13 millimeter deep line. I will show you in details how I did the connection a bit later. So basically it is how it works for your garden. And my pots are approximately 30 centimeter apart, so this drip line worked really well for them. I just fixed them with some cattle panel hooks, and I found them to keep them a bit up with the help of a stake makes the water delivery system much better. Now this is my another tap, and I am showing you the same connection sort of thing, how I negotiated the angles. So you don't want any bend in the 19 millimeter poly pipe. That's why you need to use a bit of elbow joiners or T connectors, whatever works for you. And this is how I added the drip lines. I will again show this in detail later. So basically you need to cut the 19 millimeter poly pipe there, and you have to add the T connector. You can use either 19 into 19 T connector or 19 to 13 millimeter T connector. If you have some 13 millimeter poly pipe, you can attach with that, and then attach the 13 millimeter drip line with the help of an elbow joiner. And this is how it works there, the drip. And at the end of the drip line, what I did is I basically closed the end with an end pipe. A little bit of troubleshooting when you take your poly pipe line. Of course, there will be some obstacles. There might be angles, corners. As I said, you don't want any kinking or bend in your poly pipe that will impact your water flow. So I have used a bunch of elbow joiner to make that angle and take it all the way in farthest part of the garden. As you can see here, I have some stairs and I have used the elbow joiner. And what happens at the end of the poly pipe is you will need to close that poly pipe with the help of an end plug. And from that 19 millimeter poly pipes, as I showed earlier, I have attached some 4 millimeter sprinklers or tricklers. These are my big pots, and as you can see, the tricklers are attached with one another. For this one, I have used a bit of inline joiner. So what it means, basically, they have two ends. That means they are like a T connection. I will show you in a minute of what it means. So this is how the trickler works for the very big pots. This is how I added the inline 4 millimeter tricklers with my poly pipe. So you can use this sort of inline stake sprayers or tricklers. What it means, basically, you just add the 4 millimeter tube on both sides, and that way you don't have to make hole to your 19 millimeter poly pipe each time. You just need to do it twice to join the ends, and that's it. So I found this very helpful. Now I will show you how I covered different sized pots. I have quite a number of size pots. Some are big like these, like the garden beds. I have used the same technique. I have used the tricklers or the sprayers for each of them. This is a large clamshell pot, and this one is again a garden small garden bed. So I have covered them with a number of sprayers or tricklers. As you can see, they are all connected with the 4mm tube, flex tube, with that poly pipe. This is an example of 180-degree sprayers. I have joined that with 4mm tube, and this covers the areas where the drip line is not enough. Again, this is another 180-degree sprayers. I have attached a 4mm tube with that, and this is how they run. Sometimes the drip line is not enough to cover all the plants and you want a bit of more water supply to your garden bed. This is where you need the sprayers or additional tricklers. Now this is my big central patch. I have covered that with 5 rows of drip line. I have set to additional micro spray jet, which I haven't done a video. Now again, I would like to show you some connections very closely. So this is a T connection, this is the garden bed, and I have added the drip line. All these drip lines comes from that 19mm poly pipe. So if you look closely, I have used a T connector to join this drip line with the 19mm poly pipe. And after that, you have to decide how you want to do the drip line. You can add the drip line in the garden bed as a grid. You can leave the end open, and not open, closed with a end pipe. For this one, I have done in a spiral fashion because I ran out of the T connectors, 13mm T connectors. So I just used my leftover elbows to make some bend. You have to make sure that you keep this about 30 centimeters apart. Another important thing is many people suggested to raise the drip line a bit higher than ground, because sometimes earthworm snails lay eggs inside the drip tube and this causes the blockage of the drip line. Now coming to the cost of the whole thing, it was not cheap. I have spent $800 to buy all the materials, and of course it took me hours, many hours, days to finish this whole project. But I think it is worth the money and labor, because previously I used to spend 2 hours to water my garden every day, but now it takes only 10 to 15 minutes to complete the watering. Thank you.